What's up, Soul Warriors? Thank you so much for being here for Winning Wednesday Live with LC and you. I'm showing y'all my dark side today because we're in a new location and the lighting's off. And man, I just can't cart all that stuff with me. So, it is what it is. It's about the message, man. It's not necessarily about how good everything looks sometimes, But I want to bring you a message today on rejection. What does rejection equal to you? Hurt, crushing, fear. Why is that? And what is the worst type of rejection? Well, these are the questions I'm going to attempt to answer today in this Winning Wednesday video. And of course, we're going to talk about a lot more because y'all know I can't hardly stay on topic, but I always have something on my heart to bring to you. And generally it's taken from a play right out of the page of the playbook of my life. So I always like to share with you that we're always in a lot of the same situations. Maybe we are just working on different things in our personal journey. So thanks so much for being here. For anybody that will watch the replay us, I want to thank you as well for letting Recovery Soul Food and me, LC, your transgender mentor, be a part of your amazing life recovery and healing journey. We're all recovering from something, and if not, we should be. Not that everything has to do with substance addiction. In fact, that's just a small byproduct of a much deeper set of issues. So if we stay away from things like subjects like abstinence, and we really start getting into healing the deeper internal places of us where we tend to rise up and cope through using or addictive habits, then abstinence comes naturally. And that's the honest truth. And a lot of people won't agree with me. And some people will shut off our message because it's not the old paradigm of recovery. But, I'm living a 22-year addiction, and I have managed to be in deep healing, true recovery for the past 8 years consecutively. And let me tell you something, it hadn't been easy. But as I heal each one of those deep roots of what kept me going out, what kept me going back to that coping skill, then I learned some stuff, and I like to bring it to y'all. So let's get a little bit of housekeeping out of the way, and then we're going to jump right into this Winning Wednesday Live with LC and you. Here's a little something. If you're watching on Facebook, Facebook has let me know that you have to go in now and actually, it's not enough just to follow Recovery Soul Food or Lona Currie. You have to actually select the live video notification. So make sure you got your notifications on so you're notified when we go live and you don't miss a video. And that's really the same thing for YouTube. If you're a YouTube subscriber, number one, thank you. We're really trying to grow that platform. There's more we can do there and expand. Even more hearts we can touch there, but we're not going to leave Facebook, so don't worry. But the same thing with the YouTube channel. If you are subscribed to the channel, it does not mean that you will get notifications when we put videos up or do live videos. So make sure that you hit that bell notification. And last thing, I want you guys to really know that so much of our lives, 95 to 99% of our lives are operated under our subconscious belief systems. Now, these are beliefs that we don't really know are in play with us. We don't really see them. They're things that are deep inside of us, and they've been there for a very long time. I like to call them our invisible blocks to success, our invisible blocks to growth, our invisible blocks to the places and the things that we want to accomplish and achieve. And one of the greatest ways that we can get deeper into our subconscious, because you can consciously want to change something so bad, and you can do everything that you know to do and find yourself right back at it. If we are in active addiction, or you've been in active addiction, you're in recovery, you know this. How many times did you stab at clean and sober? How many times have we had to go back and work the steps? How many times have you tried and failed? And it's not because you didn't want to change. It's not because you didn't know what to do. It's that somewhere deep inside of you, there is a small little belief system that talks to you in what we call self-talk. And it comes up and it says, this is too hard. It comes up and says, you're not going to make it. Look at all the times you've tried and failed. What's going to make this time different? It wants to keep you small and safe, not because the inside of you hates you and you've been dealt this raw hand, but because it's down there trying to keep you safe. That's its job, and it's doing its job. But yes, you can change those internal subconscious belief systems, and it is a great asset to anything and everything you're trying to do in this recovery process. And my good friend Pamela Topjian of Breakthrough Hypnotherapy is willing to help you do that. You can go to hypnobreakthrough.com and connect with Pamela. And for Recovery Soul Food listeners, if you mention Recovery Soul Food, you're going to get a free consultation, a free 15-minute session, and a free full session. That is actually enough to snap parts of your subconscious, to change a belief. In all honesty, you can get some great benefits by just going through that, but you won't want to stop. You'll want to go through, and she has a program for everyone. So if you think you can't afford it, please still reach out to Pamela Topjian. She knows how to connect any budget to this healing, because that's her mission, just like it's mine. I want to help you heal. I don't care whether you got money or you don't. I don't care if you got insurance or you don't. I want to help you heal. And I partner with people that do the same. So if everybody's ready to learn about rejection and get into this amazing Winning Wednesday live video cast with me, LC, then I'm ready to let's go. Live from the heart, baby. It is Recovery Soul Food live with LC and you. That's right. I'm showing you my dark side today. Forget the lighting and all that stuff. We're going to do things old school style. But we're going to talk about something that's really, really important, and it's a hiccup in a lot of our recovery process. It's rejection. Now, what does rejection mean to you? What emotion does just the word rejection bring up in you? That's right, Lisa. It beats you up. It tells you that you can't. Because I want to tell you, the worst rejection to experience is not the rejection of others. It is the rejection of self. When you feel like that inside of you is rejecting your conscious mind and your dreams and everything you say and everything you want to do, and you hear that inner voice that tells you, are you kidding me? Who do you think you are? Your family was this way. Nobody has ever broken out of your family. You're a hopeless addict. Why would you be out of your family? Those things are real. And that voice is far more detrimental to you than any other voice outside of you. Now, listen, you weren't born with a spirit of rejection, and you were not born with a spirit of give up. You weren't. If you can walk, you weren't born with a spirit of give up. How many times did you fall on your butt when you were learning how to walk, and nobody in the room said, give up on that, you'll never get it? Nor did you have a spirit that said, I just can't do this. I'm just going to scoot on my butt all my life. You learned how to pee in a potty. You did. You don't just hike up on a tree anywhere when you go out in public. You don't just hike them down and, go in the bushes unless it's an emergency. Okay. But here's the thing. We were not born with a spirit of give up. We weren't born knowing what rejection was. We were born these amazing little molds that had everything within us that we needed to learn to survive. So then that leads us to my favorite subject, which is the programming that comes in from the outside world. Now, generations change every decade, every year, things are changing. And yet, the one thing we as human beings hate the most is change. And yet, without change, we would not have the things that we enjoy today. This internet, computers, lighting, phones. I mean, my gosh, I can date myself and tell you my age by saying I never in a million years thought that each and every one of us would be carrying a mini computer around with us everywhere. Our stress level with these changes are higher than they've ever been, because used to, you didn't have to worry about a phone ringing everywhere you went. But now we have become addicted to change, and yet we say we hate change. The reason we hate change is because we are afraid. The reason we are afraid is because there's a small spirit of rejection somewhere. We don't let our ideas out to another person because we're afraid that they will say that that's ridiculous. Why would you think you can do that? And we're so scared to let that out. That's why in our personal development, in our dream enhancement talks and subject matters, people say if you've got a dream for your life, keep it to yourself. Now, it doesn't mean you're not going to experience any of that old negative talk, because your self-talk is going to come in there. But think about how you felt in active addiction. For those of you that have been in substance addiction, habit addiction, doesn't matter what it is. We all do things that compromise us in the midst of these things. But I'm going to talk about substance addiction right now because I know about that the most. There was a part of me in every moment, especially the moments of trying to hustle up money or get the next fix. There was something in me that knew this was not the real me. And that disconnect is what makes us feel so guilty, especially in the beginning, when you start stealing and you start, lying to people you love, and you start, compromising everything that you know to be you, that feels natural to you, to get this fix. We begin to feel guilty, not because those things are wrong, even though that's what it seems like. We feel guilty because it is self-rejection, because we know that that is not who we are. And we feel compromised because now that is what this is what we feel like we have to do in order to survive. That fix has become a survival. I can't operate in this day. I can't work without this. I can't be a normal human being. For me, with opiates, I can't eat if I'm not well. I can't speak to people. My addiction started in learning to speak to people, come out of my shell. And the only way I could do that was by being inebriated in some way. And then it would always go too far. And then, of course, I'd go from the life of the party to, the turmoil of the party pretty quick. But these were the things that I believed. And so when we're in that addicted lifestyle and we're feeling that disconnect, that rejection, because we are rejecting our true self, we're rejecting our true nature when we are in that addicted lifestyle. It's why we feel things like regret and guilt. So then we start building a new belief system in order to make that pain easier. And we start saying, well, I'm just an addict. This is what addicts do. I'm a criminal. This is what criminals do. And we start saying those things to us to try to get the pain of that rejection, internal rejection, to stop. Because the human brain and the human insides, regardless of what our shell looks like, regardless of how we identify, regardless of who we love, regardless of any of those things, we work internally the same. And so the mind is going to begin in order for its own survival to justify all of these actions. And what is a belief, ladies, gentlemen, and all human beings? A belief is a thought that we have thought over and over and over. And if the seed to every action is thought, then that also means that our words, see, we say these things like, I don't think before I speak. That's not true. It's not possible. You can't speak without thinking. So what ends up happening is we start thinking, we start rationalizing these actions that we have so we can stop that internal self-rejection, stop rejecting our true self, because that's what we have to do when we are addicted, is reject our true self. And a lot of times it's already been, the rejection has already started, because either you expressed your true nature as a younger child and it got shut down pretty quick. You know, I don't know, you were sensitive towards animals and somebody came along and shut that down, or told you that was stupid, or you were very sensitive, you reached out, you know, say, especially if you were a guy, if you did something really, really nice for a girl, say kindergarten, first grade, third grade, that young years, and somebody said, look at you, you don't do that, or, you know, something about your masculinity, in that very moment, you built a belief system. So you began to reject your true nature anyway. So we get there. We start rejecting our true self. We start building this new belief system because we start to think, well, this is what addicts do. Now I'm just an addict. So now this is what I have to do. And eventually we speak that out. And when these two things combine, thoughts, words, and emotions, there in those moments, a belief system is formed. And you feel it for the first little while. You get used to wearing that new outfit of I'm just an addict. We say these things. We get with people. Who are like-minded, and now we run around with these people, and these people make us think that everything's all right because they're addicts too. So we're not really surrounding ourselves by people that aren't addicted. So we're forming these trauma bonds, and now we have all the ingredients to build a deep subconscious belief system about who we are. And yet it never feels good, because our soul knows that we are rejecting our true nature. See, for that whole 22 years, there was just this nagging thing in me that says, I am not this person. And even when I was having to protect the femininity of myself and kind of be overly masculine to stop attacks, because I was still, not understanding how I was going to navigate in the world being who I was. That wasn't my true self. And I'm going to say this, even when I began my transition, I started finding out what toxic masculinity belief systems that I had. And it's only been in the last 2 years that I've really embraced who I truly am, to move the rejection, the fear of rejection, to move that rejection of myself. Because if, for a person like me, I had been abused as female. So I rejected the femininity within me, and we're all born with both energies. The yin and yang symbol. Balance is learning how to balance your masculine and feminine energies, and we all have them. But we often reject those parts of us that do not match what, yes, Lisa, I surely can, because I want to do a complete video on that. In fact, we often reject within us what doesn't seem to match society's rules. I like Vishen Lakiani's bullshit rules, because society places a lot of unseen rules on us. And so much of those rules, we're chasing after the attainment of these things. And yet we're failing because that's not our purpose, but we don't see it that way. We take it as rejection from the world. And many of us have grown up in traumatic homes where we have faced real rejection from the people that were supposed to be there, to be counted on, to love us, to nurture us, to keep us safe. And I have this deep belief, I've had it for a long time, that the earlier in a person's life that they have to start dealing with intense emotional trauma, they start stuffing that pain down in the suitcase of their soul. And so by their early 20s, mid 20s, life is always going to give us stuff that we want to pack away. But if you've been packing away painful emotions, painful memories, and severe abuse for a very long time, your suitcase runs out of room, and now you become this raw nerve walking around in the world, and you're going to use, because what else can you do? You are a mechanism inside trying to survive. You don't see animals in their environment giving up. You can step on a roach, and how long will that roach fight for its life? You know what I mean? Like, there's not a give up in creation. We are the only created beings that have the ability to choose to give up. And I want to say to the recovery community, to all of you, to the mental health community, I want to say to all of you, I understand you probably feel some guilt because you've been there and wanted to give up. Maybe you've attempted to give up. I have. But let's not forget that you're still here. Let's not focus on the attempt to give up, and let's focus on the get up. Because if you're here and you're moving forward, you're trying to become aware of these things. You're trying to become aware of these internal programs that are keeping you from the places you want to go, or that self-talk that keeps trying to talk you out of your big life, living big, living full out, dreaming big. Then bravo. And let's focus on the get up versus the, that default program by focusing on the give up. You're here. You're working on it. And wherever you are today, that's okay. And I will talk to my fellows real quick, if there are any here. The majority of my audience is female, and that is a goal for me, to bring more males into this platform, because we are all human beings, and what we're talking about here is human healing, not male, not female. We're talking about human healing, and the toxic masculinity that is at work in this world as a whole, but especially this country, is killing people. Because this is what keeps more feminine males undercover, or a lot of times it is males that feel a little bit more connected with their feminine side, but are afraid to be labeled gay or being beat up or derogatory. They do a lot of toxic, harmful, masculine things. What they think it means to be a man. And a lot of female to male trans people do it too. Because society tells us what a man is supposed to be. Not vulnerable, chivalrous, tough, never let him see him sweat. These things harm people every single day, because people that naturally fall overboard in trying to create that quality. And it keeps a lot of her going to have a panic attack, because I was opening up to her about what my inner talk was saying to me about this whole housing situation. And see, I'm trying to, work 2 jobs, keep a dream alive, spread a message, develop and create, as well as take care of my family, and my basic needs of housing is not met. And I'm a grower. I love to be growing. I'm addicted to personal and spiritual growth. That's what I can say. I am addicted to it. I feel it's my calling. I feel it's my message to do. And so in doing all of this, sometimes I fail to give myself the proper, props and bravos for making it through this in ways where I'm growing through, not just going through. Am I still freezing up, y'all? I know the internet is another thing got to deal with. Everything wants to keep my dream from happening. And that's what it feels like in here. And I've got to match that talk with the different talk that says that's not true. Many times you can tell that self-talk, that self-rejection, you can identify that as not true. And just saying those words, that's not true, and saying them out loud will interrupt that line of thought and allow you to take control. But as I was having this conversation with my wife, I'm breaking open and being vulnerable. I feel myself letting her know that I don't necessarily have it all together, that I'm at my limit, of what I can properly work through right now. Like if one more chain drops on, I don't know what I'm going to do. But at the same time, I felt that way for every layer of the chains that have dropped on to me to carry. And here's what I really know about myself. I'll carry those. I'll carry them. I'll keep growing through, and I will keep my eyes fixed upon this is not all there is for me. I know where I'm going. And to whom much is given, much is required. And we're tempted to think about tangible things when we say what is given. But really what that means is the spiritual gifts that are within you. Whether you use them to make a living or whether you just use them for pure joy, the bigger those gifts are, the more you will have to maneuver through and grow into these gifts. Many times we're given our gifts and we just want to play with them. It's like Christmas. It's like you get the big gift and you want to play with it, play full out with it. But you don't actually have within you yet all that it takes to properly put this gift out there. We all want to know our purpose. We all want to know our calling. We all want to know why we're here. But we don't get that in an email and then turn our backs on everything that doesn't match that and begin in that purpose. We're given a glimpse of that purpose because we got to have a spark of hope and feel like we are. Purpose will pull you out of bed in the morning when you don't want to go. Purpose will remind you, I'm working towards something. There's something I'm moving towards. It lets you put your hands on the ship, on the wheel of your ship, and begin to have a direction to steer. You don't have the full GPS map yet, but you've got a direction to steer. And we get so impatient because we want it now. And the reality is we're not actually ready and don't have the capacity to be there and stay there and then grow beyond that. And a lot of times it's just because we haven't learned how to look at our situation in a pro-health way. I heard somebody say one time that rejection truly isn't rejection, it's projection. Most of the times when other people are rejecting you, they're not rejecting you or your dreams. They're actually coming from a place of insecurity within themselves. They're coming from a place of self-talk that says, that they have dreams and they don't feel like they'll ever match their dreams, or they think their dreams are dead, or it's all been cut off or something. And so a lot of times they'll project that onto you, onto me. And just learning that one little, that one little mind hack to where we can really examine a rejection and learn how not to take that personally upon us, because it's more than likely a projection. It's when it comes from us that it gets very detrimental. Self-rejection is the rejection that will bring you down. And we have to learn how to look at our self-rejection in the same way. Asking questions like, where is this coming from? What causes me to believe that I can't do any better than this? What is it that causes me to feel like my life is too small, that I'll never make it, that I won't be able to achieve recovery, that I won't be able to achieve this dream that I have? Examine those things, because really you are operating from a very early human existent place, because back in your tribal days, rejection from the tribe equaled death. That's why rejection now is the one thing that we all run from on a daily basis. There's not a person on earth that does not experience the fear of rejection. Something like this is like rejection boot camp. Because I promise you, somebody is going to be sitting on their couch and they're going to have this big dream inside of them, but with a belief system that completely tells them it can't happen and they can't do it. And they will see me, and something inside of them will spark up and they will attack me. And it used to hurt badly. And some days, if I'm hungry, tired, or worn out, I can have my feelings down in a very vulnerable place, and it can hurt me now, but it will not stop me. In the beginning, it used to make me question my mission, until I began to examine where it all came from and why it hurt so bad. And I used to go after those people, not in attack mode, but I used to think, I can, just give me time. You'll understand what I'm saying. You'll understand me. You'll understand what I'm saying. I used to, and I used to not focus on the people that were already here, that were loving this message. It was like we gravitate to the one who thinks something's wrong with us. And we do that because there is a lot of self-rejection going on, that we don't believe that we can attain the goal. We don't believe that we can get the dream. We don't believe that we can change our lives. And we can examine that and work on that, because we'll never make everyone like us. We'll never make everyone agree with us. It's not meant to be that way. And so what do we do instead? Just keep getting hit and hurt? No. We learn how to bring that stuff in. We learn how to move it about. We learn how to transmute it into pure strength. And we express it out. And we become happier. And that's all we're searching for. We're not searching for the perfect life. We're searching to feel as though we have the perfect life. We're not looking and going after money because of money's sake. We're going after the feeling that having that money will give us. So when we learn how to bring everything back home, transmute it, pull it out of the give up, and use it as fuel for the get up, that's success. That's success. So thanks y'all for spending this time with me, with this internet being in and out and in and out. I really appreciate your patience, your commitment to yourself, to your own healing. It is amazing to see how many amazing human beings show up here and really do the work to get to the place of happiness. And wherever you are today, just remember, you're here. You have already gotten up from give up several times, and this time will be no different. You are in training for your best self and your greatest mission. And you can do anything that you put your heart and your mind to. I promise you that. And you're worth finding your true happiness. Learn to become your own best friend. And don't reject yourself. There's enough of the world that will do that for you. Learn how to talk to you. Be your own best friend. Do it as if you were talking to a friend. Down. Internet going down. All right. Well, I'm going to close this out while we still got a moment of internet popping back up. Listen, I love you guys so much. Join me Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern for an amazing guest for the Recovery Soul Food podcast, Dr. Marina Costa. This woman's energy and her story inspire beyond anything I can even get you prepared for. So make sure that you share that with your groups. Turn on your live notifications so you don't miss it. Be back here Sunday night, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Bring your friends, bring your family, and let's rock this Recovery Soul Food podcast. Y'all have the most amazing, powerful winning Wednesday of your entire life, because yes, you are that powerful. I promise you. Make the choice. It's all yours. See y'all Sunday night. Bye, everybody.